Good afternoon. Welcome to the very last regularly scheduled meeting of the Claims Committee for today, October 6th. We've been joined by a quorum of the committee, which is Council members, Council Vice President Glidden, Council President Johnson, Council Member Quincy, Council Member Reich, and myself, which is a quorum of the committee. There are only 5 items on our agenda to address today, and I will note that we'll be lastly discussing the dissolution of the Claims Committee as the last item on our agenda today, and the rightful option that everyone who has a claim should take that to small claims court or district court. With that, I will note that the process is such that we would ask each different claimant to come up after Mr. Scarda gives a summary of the case. Mr. Scarda will also describe the standard by which we have the authority to issue a reward for a claim, and then we will ask you to come up and state your case. We'll see if there are any other city staff here who can discuss the case, and then the committee will make a decision. Mr. Scarda, if you could speak to the standard by which we should judge these claims.
Standard is a negligence standard. That is, did the city fail to use reasonable care? Did they do something that a reasonable, prudent person would not do, or fail to do something that a reasonably prudent person would do? Was there a departure from what was reasonable and prudent under the circumstances? The city also has certain immunities for discretionary decisions that it makes that are applicable to these matters also.
And Mr. Scarda, you'll be telling us if those fall into each case.
I will mention those if they're relevant to a particular claim.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Scarda? Seeing none, we'll start with the first claimant, Ms. Baxter. If you'd like to step forward, please, and we'll ask Mr. Scarda to perfect. And we'll ask Mr. Scarda to start by telling us a little bit about your claim, and then we'll ask you to speak. Mr. Scarda.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Ms. Baxter is appealing a claim with a date of loss of April 20th, 2015 regarding a towed vehicle. The claim is in the amount of $156. Ms. Baxter asserted a claim against the city for reimbursement of the tow charge. She had parked her vehicle at a friend's house and was not aware of the street cleaning. This was posting for street cleaning. We did have a picture of the claim committee did have a picture of the sign and Ms. Baxter's vehicle, and the committee recommended denial of the claim based on those facts.
Are there any questions for Mr. Scarda? Seeing none, Ms. Baxter.
Great, thank you for seeing me today. A colleague of mine, I work at Minnesota State University, Mankato. I was traveling to a conference in Chicago, and I do have that my flight left on Thursday, April 16th. The signs I found out were posted on Friday, the 17th, for street cleaning on Monday, the 20th. So we did not see the signs. I've traveled with my colleague several times, and she assured me, because normally I park at the airport, park and ride. But because our flight was leaving at 7 a.m., she said, oh, yeah, just park at my house. I do it all the time. We'll take an Uber. So we did that. And when we returned on the 20th, we were like, where are our cars? So it wasn't just my car that got towed, also her car. And then when we got it back in at 9:35, so it was too late to get the cars from the towing lot that closes at 10. So the next day, the young man at the towing lot, after we paid, told us the process to go through and start the appeal. So I immediately started the appeal and received letters saying that my appeal had been received. And then I got a letter saying that it had been denied due to no negligence of the city. And so then I asked, I got in touch with Bonnie J and asked, what can I do now? And she said the next process would be that I can either come down or schedule a call with a staff claims committee. Mm-hmm. So I said yes, because I live in Mankato. I would like to have a call with the staff claims committee. That call was scheduled for July 7th. And I verified that at least 3 times with Bonnie that it was July 7th. Well, they happened to call me on July 2nd while I was at a different conference and just happened to pick up the call while I was in the hallway of a hotel. And I'm glad I did, because it was them. A young man on that staff claims committee told me, because I had told them, and I have a picture of it, my friend got a citation. I only got a towing report. And so I have a copy of both of those. And I told him, I've been checking every month like the city has told me, and I do not have a ticket. And this happened in April. It's now July, but I'll keep checking because they said you only have 30 days to pay it. As soon as I got off the phone with him, That next Monday, I had a ticket in the system. So I appealed that ticket and got a email from a Dale Christofitz, an administrative hearing officer, saying that I have suspended the fine on that citation. And then the next time I talked with Bonnie, she said this was the next process. And I said, yes, I would like to meet in person on October 6th to ask about getting refunded for that. And because it wasn't negligence on any parts, but the signs, I did not see them. They sent me a picture of the signs with my car that were posted on the 17th, which was great. I left on the 16th, so there was no possible way for me to see them.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to leave your car on the street for 3 days unattended in a neighborhood you don't live in or in a neighborhood you do live in. So the question is, how is the city negligent? Should they not have put up the signs to sweep the street because your car was already parked there?
No, ma'am. I was just saying that I didn't know that that's a rule that you can't leave, and neither did my friend who lives there, because we've gone on several conference trips for the last 5 years. And so I'm not saying that the city was negligent. I just am saying that I don't believe that I was negligent.
The
also.
Standard is that you have to prove the city was negligent.
Yes, and I just heard that, and I didn't know that. If I had heard that, I mean, if somebody had explained the process to me, I mean, because this has been in April, if I had heard what he had just said, like in April, I wouldn't probably have gone through all this fighting, but I didn't. And now I'm kind of like, I've done all this fighting for my $150, and I don't believe that I was wrong. And no, I do not believe the city was negligent. I just didn't have this information, and I would have parked at the airport. I always parked at the airport, and I would have just had the state reimburse me the $60 like they always do, but leaving at 7 a.m. I didn't want to drive from Mankato early in the morning, so I just spent the night. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I get it. I mean, I hear that. I just wish somebody would have explained this whole process in April, because
perhaps one of the reasons we're eliminating this committee, but that's for item number 7. The standard is negligence. The city has to be found negligent, not just on your claim, but any of the claims that we're going to have in front of us today. So it sounds like you just didn't know that the city had the right to tow cars for street sweeping and snow plowing and parked there and got caught up in it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll have, I think someone from traffic control come up and show you that they posted the sign and they have a picture.
Well, I have a picture, and they sent me the picture. I mean, they did everything. It was, I just wish somebody would have explained everything in a little bit more detail, so I would have understood how it all worked. That would have been nice.
Yes, and we'll ask staff to do that and explain how that happens. Council President Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and that's a really good suggestion, and we'll, what would you call it, consider that perhaps in notification when this comes forward, but I'm going to move the staff recommendation, Madam Chair.
Okay, and I'm just, since Ms. Baxter's here, perhaps someone from claims, not from traffic control, I think we stipulated that it was done correctly. I would like someone, though, from the claims office to get up and explain to us and Ms. Baxter how she got here today without knowing that what she had to prove before she came. What had we're going to eliminate this committee. We're not going to have this problem tomorrow, but I do think it's fair. She came all the way up here. My son goes to Minnesota State Mankato, so I think it's great that you work for a MnSCU system, and maybe you could just explain how it gets to the point where she didn't know that was the standard and she took time off work probably to be here today.
Madam Chair, council members, my name is Ellen Velasco Thompson. I'm the Director of Risk Management and Claims. And to address the question that was put before us, there are several interactions that usually occur when a claim has been filed by a claimant, regardless of where they're coming from. So the contact is usually with the investigator, or it could be with Bonnie, who does the general intake, or it could be Todd. People explain what kind of information that clarify any types of questions a claimant may have. We are very, very clear that we are the intake for the claims, and that we will have an investigation that will be done to determine what are the fine details of the claim, so that it will be brought back to the Staff Claims Committee, who will evaluate it every single month. We meet. The committee of 5 will evaluate all of the details. They'll ask further questions. If that committee deems to agree with the recommendation of the investigators, then there is a notification sent back to the claimant on that. At that time, If a claim, it says right in the letter that if they disagree with the decision made, that they are free to go ahead and appeal it to the Staff Claims Committee, where they can show up in person or they can go by phone. That's another opportunity where there is a great deal of dialogue, exchange. Questions can be answered at any time regarding what evidence we have, what we don't have, where the committee has an opportunity to go ahead and ask specific questions of the claimant to make sure that they fully understand the details of the claim. And then the claimant is released so that the committee can decide, after they've listened to all the people who've come in person or been by phone, they decide each claim and what is the final recommendation, which brings us to a final letter that comes to you regarding your next opportunity if you disagree with the recommendation of the committee.
Okay, so I think the important thing here is that when applicants go in front of the Staff Claims Committee, that they are told what the standard is that they need to meet in order to get a claim, a positive result for their claim. That's what I'm hearing Ms. Baxter saying, is that no one said to her before, the standard was the city negligent? And if it was, she might not have, if she had known that, she might not have gotten to this point.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Baxter, you come up here, sweetie.
Yes, ma'am, because it's just a 2-sentence thing saying the city was not negligent, and so it doesn't really explain it. And the group I was speaking to, they seemed more interested in that, oh, well, we changed our system. Yes, that is going to be a citation, instead of what I was asking for was the towing. So he was all about, you need to check that because, yes, there is a citation in the system for you, which hadn't been there that Friday, which was there that Monday. I took care of that. But nowhere in it did I hear the words he said about the, because if I had heard that or had seen that, or if that committee had expressed that to me, because I wasn't in person, I was on phone with them, I would have understood and I would have chalked it up as a loss back then. And like now it's cost me more than the 150. So I just wish somebody would have explained that in the beginning or had a letter so I could find that, because all the letters I got from Bonnie and Todd and Nancy, which are great, they didn't, they're just kind of like one sentence, da-da-da-da-da, this is it. It didn't explain anything to me.
And I really appreciate that explanation, because as we try to figure out going forward how to have a fair process without having this panel, it sounds like one big step would be to have the claims department explain what the standard is in order to get a claim won at the staff level, because they no longer will be bringing it to us. And so I don't want to hear later, we eliminated this committee, but people didn't know at the staff claims level what the standard would be. So I think that's really positive feedback, and we appreciate you telling us that, even though you have not been able to succeed in your claim. It doesn't sound like. And thank you for being here. On Council President Johnson's motion to deny the appeal, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. I, again, really appreciate your feedback about how to be able to do this better. And if anything, you've made it easier for other people in the city moving forward. We'll move on to item number 2, which is Ms. Douglas. Is Ms. Douglas here? Amelia Douglas? Okay, Mr. Scarda, do you want to just explain the case and we can deal with it?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Amelia Douglas is making a claim with a date of loss of December 21st, 2014 for towing in the amount of $283. On December 21st, 2014, she had her vehicle parked at 1411 Newton Avenue North and was issued a citation for an abandoned vehicle parked over 72 hours, and it was towed as a result of that. She claims that she moved her vehicle during the intervening 72 hours, but only approximately 3 feet. The Staff Claims Committee heard testimony from her and recommended that the claim be denied, since the markings were still on the tires when it was checked again 72 hours after having been posted.
Are there any questions for Mr. Scarda? I'll ask again if Ms. Amelia Douglas is here. Is there anyone here for Amelia Douglas? Seeing none, I'm going to move to deny the claim. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item has been denied. We'll move on to item number 3, which is the matter of Stacy Hicks. Okay, great. You're here. Thank you. We'll first let Mr. Scarda speak, and then we'll call on you. Mr. Scarda.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Ms. Hicks is making a claim with a date of loss of April 30th, 2015 for towing in the amount of $138. On April 30th, 2015, Ms. Hicks had her vehicle parked at 711 11th Avenue South and was issued a citation for parking where temporary no parking signs were posted. Ms. Hicks claims that when she parked at that location, there were no signs posted, and the meter allowed her to pay for the parking spot. The investigator verified that the street was posted on April 29th, 2015 at 8:02 a.m. within the 24-hour limits, and there were signs present at the time of the issuance of the citation. So the committee recommended denial of the claim.
Okay. Ms. Hicks?
All right. So much like the lady before me, I went through the paper process where I submitted my reasoning why I think it should be denied, or I should be refunded my $138. And then I also did the phone call, which wasn't gaining much traction. So that's why I'm here today. I was told on April 30th, the signs were posted according to the ticket at 8:02 on the 29th. I did not park on the street on the 29th, so there was no way that I would have seen the signs on the 29th. The 30th, when I parked, there were not signs. The street was full, so if there were signs, I think it would be strange that the street was full. Nobody is able to tell me, they're able to tell me when the signs were posted, which was 8:02 on the 29th. Again, I did not park down there on the 29th. Nobody's able to tell me when they were taken down or where exactly they were posted. Those are two things that I would definitely want to know, so I can know next time where to look. I didn't see any signs. 3 other people that I know were also ticketed that day, not yet towed. We're planning on being towed. So I just find it hard to believe that all of us missed the signs. Not saying that can't happen, just saying that I find it hard to believe. So if I could be told exactly, they weren't able to give me that information on the phone call, when the signs were taken down, the time, so that I know that it was after the time that I parked my vehicle, where the signs were posted, and if there's any photographic evidence of that, because when I went out to find that my car was not towed or was not there at 4:02, I looked everywhere and took pictures, and there were not, which I've submitted to Bonnie a while back, and there were not any signs within the pictures that I've seen. In addition to that, as we all work downtown, there's signs that go on the meters for the no parking, the red bag signs. There were none of those, and those are there daily. I see them when I drive downtown. Not only that, but again, as he had mentioned, I was also able to pay. You have an electronic system. I was able to pay for the full day in a parking spot that was supposedly not supposed to be parked in. So I think that's where the negligence comes in, is there's numerous things that could have been done, that I was able to just continue to go through, like paying for it. There was no parking bag over it. And then again, I was never told when the signs were taken down, so I can know that it truly was after I parked that day. And like I said, it was posted on the 29th, but I didn't park on the street the 29th.
Are there any questions for Ms. Hicks? Okay, thank you for your testimony. We'll start with parking services. I think also someone here to explain the issue, I understand it, of why we don't program meters for temporary no parking for street sweeping. Great. Mr. Miller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, council members. My name is Jeff Miller. I'm the Supervisor, Code Compliance and Traffic Control Services. I'm here speaking on behalf of the agent that issued the citation. He's off today. We have documentation that we received from Public Works the day that signs are posted. And in this particular case, the claimant was parked on 11th Avenue, line number 4. Those signs were posted on Wednesday, April 29th, and it was posted for street cleaning that was to take place on Thursday, April 30th. Our agents, when they arrive at a location, they're required to verify the time that the signs were posted at and give every vehicle on that block a minimum of 24 hours to move their vehicle after the signs have been posted. The agent, I have a copy of the citation and also a photo. The agent issued the ticket at 9:48 a.m. And on the last section under notes, he indicated that signs were posted on April 29th at 8:02 a.m. and he observed 2 signs on the block. The signs were posted at the beginning and the end of the block. Agents are required to verify that there's a minimum of 2 signs posted per block before they issue citations. And while they're verifying that the signs are there, they also have to verify that the day of the week posted on the sign is correct. In the photo that the agent took at the time of citation, there was about, I believe, 15 vehicles ticketed on this block. There is a sign visible right about there. The agents take as many pictures as they can, but due to the number of vehicles the agent took, I believe it was 4 pictures of this block at various points during the tagging process. So this is kind of an overview of what the block looked like when he was tagging it. And regarding the meters, I have some knowledge of the meter programming, that I know it takes a significant amount of time to program a meter to not accept coins, and with it being basically a 24-hour process, and the number of meters that would be included in this temporary posting. For instance, 11th Avenue was posted from the River Road to East 26th. That would probably, if I had to guess, I'd say about 20 blocks of metered blocks that would have to be reprogrammed. By the time that they got 11th Avenue programmed to not accept coins, they'd have to turn around and remove it. And there's multiple vehicles. For instance, Chicago is also metered. And it's difficult to do all that. And Mr. Kennedy's here. Hopefully he can explain the takedown, but typically the signs are removed following the street cleaning operation. Our agents will come in and issue tickets. Tows are generally readily available to move the vehicles, and then the street operation begins. Following the cleaning of the street, Public Works returns to take down the signs to open parking back up. Especially in the downtown area, there's such a high demand for parking that they try to be very quick about getting them down so that they can allow parking.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Miller? Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, did you want to speak to the process for taking down, given Ms. Hicks asked the question with regard to when the when the signs were taken down, can you just speak to the city's process for that?
Sure. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Mike Kennedy, I'm the Director of Transportation Maintenance and Repair for Minneapolis Public Works. And our procedures are that we, according to state statute, we need to post 24 hours ahead of time. We post very specific signs, what we call day certain and time certain signs. No parking Friday from 7 to 4:30. One of our goals is to get the job done. The second is to restore parking as quickly as possible. So as soon as the crews come by and finish the sweeping, we have another crew come by and pull the signs so people can start parking again there. That also answers a little bit about why the meters posts weren't hooded. If we put those hoods on 24 hours ahead of time, that means nobody can park there for 24 hours, and to come in and try to do all that at 7 o'clock just isn't practical for us. And we've had the other notice up there. Also, yes, in these kinds of areas, we also do see a lot of, when people pull up and they see a lot of cars, they figure I'm safe. It's kind of the mob mentality. And unfortunately, following the crowd is not a good idea in a case like this. We used to be able to post our signs up high on trees and all other kinds of places. But of course, we can't staple signs to trees. We get complaints about that. So they're typically in an area like this, they'll post them right on the meters, on the posts that are out there. So, and it is not practical to pre-program them to turn off at 7 and turn back on when we're done. So,
Are there any questions for Mr. Kennedy? Okay, Ms. Hicks, did you have anything you want to add about the city's negligence? I think all of the questions you asked were answered.
Sure, yep. The only other thing that I have is I feel like I'm being held responsible for them saying it's going to take too long for them to program the system and or do the bagging. And I just don't think that's fair to me. And the sign in that picture that was posted, I couldn't even make out a sign, to be honest with you. And from where I was parked, assuming that picture was taken right next to my vehicle and not just one of the 4 that was taken throughout the day. There's no way I would have been able to see that if I get out of my driver's side door and it was up however long. Again, I'm sorry, I didn't see the picture very well. It wasn't very clear. But so again, I still think I shouldn't be held at fault here, but that's really the only thing else I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, members of the committee. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move a denial of the claim and the staff recommendation.
Okay, so Councilmember Quincy has moved that the city is not negligent and to deny the claim. Are there further comments or questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Thank you for being here today. We'll move on to item number 4, which is Ms. Jorvig. Are you Ms. Jorvig? Okay, great. We'll first hear from Mr. Skarda, and then we'll ask you to come up and tell us what happened. Mr. Skarda.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Ms. Jorvig is making a claim with a date of loss of October 31st, 2014. It's a personal injury claim resulting from a trip and fall on a sidewalk. The amount of the claim is approximately $239.60. Ms. Jorvig indicates that on October 31st, 2014, she fell after her foot caught on an uneven sidewalk panel. This resulted in damage to her front teeth. The incident happened at 5009 Beard Avenue South. The investigation indicated that there had been no prior sidewalk complaints at 5009 Beard Avenue South, and the property was last inspected approximately 10 years ago. The property is next to a church and a child care center, which does receive a good deal of foot traffic, and still there were no complaints. The gap measured almost 2 inches, which was subsequently repaired. The committee, taking into account the fact that the city was not on notice of any fault in the sidewalk, and taking into account that the inspection program is a discretionary function of the city, how that is maintained and how sidewalks are inspected, recommended denial of this claim.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Skarda with regard to item number 4? Seeing none, we'll invite you to come forward and let us know why you feel the city was negligent.
Well, when I fell on this sidewalk, there was a lip under the sidewalk. It was not only, let's see, I don't know how to use this thing with the,
Go ahead and just put it right on the white screen. We also have pictures in our packet, but you're welcome.
that was, and there's kind of dirt there, but there was a lip under the sidewalk. So what happened is that my toe kind of caught under it, like almost like having a shoelace in a door, and I just flew. I just lunged forward, and I lost my 4 front teeth. That's why the bill is so high. I notified the city. They wrote back and asked me for additional information. I notified them November 11th. November 17th, they asked me for additional information. The next day, I gave them the additional information. December 5th, they asked forms to get my authorization to get information from all the dentists that treated me. They never came back to me and said, we didn't know about this, so we're negligent. So I had 4 different dentists filling out forms, went to the dentist, and they said, well, it sounds like the city's going to do something for you because they're asking us all these questions. Then then it waited to February 6th. I got the letter that said we found no negligence. Doesn't explain why. It just says, and I thought, well, I have the pictures here. Nobody's told me anything about, we didn't know any prior knowledge, just no negligence. And so then I scheduled the appeal. And then when I went to the appeal, I was asked to get all the statements and the estimates of work that wasn't done from every dentist. And I did this. And the dentist took time doing this. And the dentist can charge you time, but they didn't. They were friends of mine. And they were all, well, it sounds like the city's really on this. And I said, well, it seems that way. They asked me for all the information. And they said it would take about 30 days for them to gather when I gave them all the information. But that was in March. And on March 18th, I sent all the bills, all the information to the city. I kept counting 30 days, and then I thought, well, maybe they mean 30 business days. But I did not get a letter until May 15th. And that one again just said, we find no negligence. And I'm like, well, obviously the sidewalk had a problem. You obviously fix the sidewalk. And I've been living with, well, 2 of the teeth they crowned, and then I had to get 2 implants. I've been looking pretty goofy for a year and not being able to eat anything but soft foods. And so I thought, well, the city asked, why did the city ask for all this information and all the bills, or the claims committee, if they don't find any negligence? Because they're not explaining to me why there isn't any negligence. So I said, I want to appeal. And I thought it was really interesting that I didn't get the letter stating no negligence to May 15th. They said, they already met April 27th. I said, okay. I mean, I'm just really frustrated because I've spent a lot of time getting this all together. Then last Friday afternoon, Rico called me at 4:00 and he said, can you give us everything that's been paid? Can you give us all of your information? And so I said, well, I will call the dentist for a final. Because I had given them before just a thick packet of every bill. So I called each dentist yesterday morning and asked for one statement that would have everything on it to make it easier for them. And then I put in what insurance had paid. And I actually have the first dentist I saw, I had to have 2 root canals through it. And the first dentist, the first root canal, he comped me on that. He's a friend of ours. And he said, and I put that in there. I'm not asking for any money except to pay the dentist bills. I miss some time off work. I do some tutoring. I'm just asking that the dental bills get paid. So I got all that to him yesterday morning. So I guess I'm just kind of frustrated because if they really felt from the very beginning that there was no prior knowledge, so they weren't negligent, they could have saved the dentist